So we're at the FIRA this morning on day 3, and the next stop's all the way in the back of the hall down there. We're going to go take a look at Neat and see what Neat is doing.
I'm looking forward to seeing Neat. They've always got such elegant products.
Yeah, the comment that it just works and it's comfortable. What they've been doing, I think, they've certainly captured a lot of the market around the most typical use cases, the bars in their rooms. But now apparently they're starting to spread out on the sides, something for a little smaller and something for a lot bigger. So it's going to be interesting to see what they've got.
Let's go take a look.
I'm Jeremy Lampard, a product specialist at Neat.
I'm Marcus Hoy Peterson. I'm Senior Director of Portfolio Vision and Strategy at Neat.
Thank you, gentlemen. So we're here to talk today about the Neat experience and what's going on with Neat. Wait,
I thought we were doing large rooms here.
We are.
Oh, okay.
But it's the Neat experience, which goes through all rooms. And Neat is very well known for the majority of use case in video. A lot of very elegant, easy to use products, simple, Zoom compatible, Teams compatible, other platforms as well. But there hasn't been a story around smaller installations. There hasn't been a story around larger installations until, we started talking about it recently in the last few weeks. So first of all, let's just get that out of the way. What is the new small room story?
We now have a solution for the smaller space where we have the bar and we take away the pad and we can run it as a BYOD solution for smaller spaces.
And the name of that is?
Neat Select.
Neat Select. So Neat Select is essentially either bar Gen 1 or bar Gen 2 without the Neat pad, and it runs as a BYOD, but it still has all the Neat Pulse management capabilities, right?
That's correct, yeah. So you can manage everything like your software updates, you can do all your boundaries, select your framing modes and everything like that. So you can run it on a large enterprise level, but for all of these, smaller devices, the smaller
So
spaces.
that's pushing the envelope of your solutions down to the smaller spaces. But now we need to talk about the larger spaces, larger than the typical conference room. Why don't you give us some of the progression around how that worked out? First of all, the distributed audio, and then now you've got some new products and new things as well. So talk us through some of that.
So with Neat Center, we built really smart infrastructure to send media back and forth between devices. So what we're seeing here is how these things start to come together, how we can take audio and video streams from different points and mix them together for an experience that unlocks the larger space. One take on that is a presenter mode, where if someone walks up in front of a screen, you could be captured by a Neat Center, showing that person in front of, in a presenter mode. You'll also see that later sort of trickle down into capturing people that you want to pay close attention to in the meeting room. And in general, work putting sources from more places together to create a better large room experience.
So let's actually parse that out just for a second. We're actually looking at the Neat Center now behind you on the camera, and it's taking pictures of all of us here. And the interesting thing is, for what you're talking about for presenter mode, most AV installations used to have to put a camera on the back wall on the opposite side. Now with the center table, you've had this for a while now, you can put it at the center table, people can walk into the room and that camera captures them, so you don't need that presenter camera. But what's relatively new now is you can now lock that in and keep it on in your software, right?
Yep.
But is that a Neat specific feature on the center room?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about how we can define boundaries, it's about how we can position them in different spaces, and then it's all about how we can add these different devices, right? So if we look at a traditional meeting room, perhaps, you can have a single unit like a board, you can choose to add a center, choose to add a pad for their video capabilities, audio capabilities, control, and then we can bring that into a larger space environment as well.
Very modular design, but the problem with what you're describing, I think I found the weakness of your strategy here, is that if you've got the Neat board as an all-in-one, and you're using it to look at the video, like we are right now, but then if somebody wants to draw on the board, you lose the board. So
yeah, so I mean, we're showing a few different scenarios and stories here, aren't we, at ISE? So we've got a big video wall here, for which our friends at Sharp NEC have provided us, basically, and we're showing a scenario where we've effectively stolen one of our Neat Board Pros from a larger space, wheeled it in, a single cable into that large video wall, We have all of our video participants then under the camera.
What kind of single cable?
HDMI cable, single HDMI cable going into that larger space. So that could be a big display projector or something like that. But I didn't need any training to do that. I was going to plug that in, and it means all my video participants are now under the camera, got the good eye line, the audio is coming from them. When we're addressing them, we're looking towards them. But everything they're presenting at the far end is coming up on that large display. And we can obviously change that, and we can add more devices with things like Zoom Companion Mode or Neat Share. Let's say we brought in another device, okay? We could even bring in 3 other devices. With companion mode, portable companion mode, you could bring them in, you can link them together just with the pairing code like you would do with sharing. And then that means that you would essentially have 4 different camera angles going into that space. You would have the interactive whiteboard available to everybody who's touching that interactive whiteboard. When it stops, someone starts sharing, that's mirrored across the estate, but then you can still have participants available on its front of room device as well. And it's flexible, it's adaptable, you can scale it on the size of meeting that you want as well.
And scale is interesting, and partnerships are interesting. You have the intelligence in the system to understand if the closest microphone to you is the Neat Center, it uses that one. If the closest microphone is the Neat Pad, it's that one. And if you're in a space that's bigger than can be handled by the center and the pad, now you're partnering with other manufacturers like Shure and some other ones to really bring it into that ecosystem to cover the larger room, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's right.
How does it determine which microphone to use? Is that visual or audio?
It's audio based.
So, yeah, I was going to say, so natively within Neat, you know, in this scenario, we have a front of room device, a center, and a pad. Hopefully throw those down the room, and whoever the loudest, you know, local source is, what the clearest source, depending on which way you're facing, we'll be using that microphone selection. And then, like you mentioned, with partners like Shure, then you've got options. You could bring in lapel microphones, handheld microphones, ceiling tile microphones, distributed audio, things like that. That's how we can approach these much more advanced multi-use spaces where you may want a bit more of a fixed solution, as it were.
What's relatively new is the HDMI out of the board, correct? Your board 65 was introduced a few months ago.
Yep.
And now it's got that second HDMI out so that you can feed the large screen. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, you know, it's multi-use. So you could have it as that second display, so your content on there and your participants on the primary board, or we have nice little feature toggles, you know, within the system settings where we can mirror everything that's happening on there. So if you wanted to have everything that's happening on your board, your whiteboarding or your interactivity going up on the primary display as well for the main focal point of the room, we can do that as well. So it's just keeping the choice there.
So there now really isn't a reason to use anyone other than Neat, regardless of the size of the installation.
We like to think so, yeah.
I think so.
So we've made a defined boundary for the stage area. So basically, as soon as we both walk out of that, we should get like a wide shot of the stage.
Oh, actually.
There we go. So we basically get an audience shot from the perspective of the audience, and then we get a defined kind of a wide shot of the stage. So and then when we get near, we focus it. And then this today is being presented like it's a single stream, is the teacher Zoom. But we are also able to present it as 2 separate streams. So the end users can choose which one they want to link, or reproduce which one stream later as well.
And if you walk into the frame with Dave, we get a second one there, right?
No, it's all kind of live.
And is there a way to identify you're the CEO, so you always stay on? Is there anything in software to do that?
That's what we're talking about for the future, different levels, VID, what's the functionality, and speaking. Yeah.
And if you wanted to, you could turn that on so I could be picked up as well. It's just not set up for that right now.
Yeah, we're not doing that for this show.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely. Toggle so we can be in regular surgery mode, as it is. So we can set it up to be like a presenter device. Yeah.
So we just came from the Neat booth, and I gotta say, Dave, the Scandinavians love their Lego-style modular approach.
Yes, the modularity there is very interesting. It also takes the Neat products, which are typically in the middle, and it lets them grow into those larger rooms that we saw.
And that's why we put them down in the large room category, because they've got they can really scale up
That's
now.
our pick, and it doesn't have to just be one size fits all. They can use their center for microphones. They can use their pad for microphones. They can go with a partner like Shure and put other microphones in there. They can get the extra display that we saw. It's really a great story, and definitely that's why it was one of our pick hits, because it's something that you shouldn't miss. You should take a second look at it.
We didn't even see everything in the booth either.
No, we just saw a couple of things. Good company.